Hey, but I'll tell you, when you're eating and chilling and watching movie night in the middle of the jungle on a big screen, and you can stream one of the newest movies in the theater, life is good.
Yeah, life is good.
You try to complain about something, it's like, wait, what? Hold on. That doesn't even make sense. We got a movie night. I do like that's one of my mom's family thing. Not a lot, but of course, right now we're in transition, so watching movies of purpose, it's inside the intention of where we're at, just coming together, shut the mind down. If people want to catch up on their phone, etc., or just being together, that's my mom and I's quality time. So I do allow that outside of containers. We've been doing a lot of Mystics of Avalon and Merlin shows and what the Mystics supported for in the Dark Ages.
Merlin.
Alright.
Love that show. That's my total nerd comes up.
Yeah.
You ever hear of King Arthur Flour? It's a Vermont company. A buddy of mine is working up there, and they made him the director of Camelot.
Director of Camelot.
That's the title of the book.
That's pretty awesome. Instead of a sword, you get a feather.
Yeah.
You think your stream might be double, like that's one and this is the other?
So HTML1.
So you have to,
Here.
should they move it? Or
To communicate it through.
Yeah. Maybe narration?
I should just read my screen.
You're in the video here. You're gonna be Jason. You're gonna be in this video. You're gonna be famous. I don't know. Or yeah, just FYI.
No, but they sort of.
There's some stickers here if anybody wants some stickers later. I'll get some more MoZen stickers.
Did you just offer stickers?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'll get some. So everyone's good. You got some water. We got some popcorn. You got some. There's some stickers here. The two farms. All right. Have we got everybody here? EJ, you able to tune into this?
Yeah, I'd like to. I'll be there.
This is where you want to see. So I can speak and see.
It's like a Eco-Village presentation.
Yeah, it's either that or I with the screen. What looks better in the video? Can you see me? Got a fancy pointer. I'm pretty stoked.
Wow, look at you.
Later on, I'll be playing with the cat with it. See who's smarter than who. All right.
Until the cat grabs it, you're chasing it around the room.
Yeah, she takes over on it. All right. Well, cool. You ready to tune in?
Yeah, ready.
This is All right. So this is going to be a breakdown. I'm going to move kind of quickly through some things, and I can always send the presentation. I think it got sent to you. If not, we can send the presentation. And anything here is open source and a collection of information that I gathered doing what you all are doing what Jason does, like from Spain, Portugal. I won't name the communities, just to like you don't have like, but I went everywhere, and also Burning Man and festivals, and seeing where festivals broke down and what was missing, and the agreements of the locals on the land, restoring relationships, rebuilding up festivals, being involved with transformational festivals, which is where I see the transformational festivals that we see, which will also be taking place here in March 5th through 9th, is a glimpse of what the carnival through Europe, through the dark ages of when things were really rough and there was order to bring light and love back, was like a piece of like transformational festivals. It was the carnival that the gypsies traveled around in a caravan, a circus act and play and food, and they planted themselves, and all the local villages and tribes would kind of come over because it was more fun. And if they're having fun singing and dancing and playing together, which is what took place, then they hung out. They got to know each other. They remembered that they really loved each other. They remembered exchange, trade, those types of things. And when the carnival left, what they left was new agreements, new connections, people being with one another. And so the activation of this big calling of these transformational festivals is bigger than just a festival, right? You got black, white, Chinese, women, men, old, young, all coming together, dancing, learning, playing, doing things together. So why did I share that? There's a thread that I'm seeing in history that's showing up again, common threads. And as I gathered information, I took notes in random places and I kept them and saved them. And then in 2020, this wall right here, which didn't look like this, had a big construction board, and the whole wall was taped, almost looked like these squares here, and that wall. And we just took all the notes, me and like 3-4 people, and we just spent, I don't know how much time, a month, 2 months, and just took all the notes and organized it and put it into what this is. Yeah. Table of contents, and a little bit about my timeline, understanding my life, my journey, bird's eye view, deep dive into community vision, and a glance at training and development opportunities to get people ready. That's a conversation we were having a little bit before. Financial plan. What I see in most community experiences is not a entrepreneur spark of how to create things that are fundable, that are self-generative. So they're really great if there's money coming in. So if you're selling expensive lots and homes and money's coming in, how to have it self-generative for other people coming in for the ongoing when that money supplies out, right? So it's a missing piece that I see for things that start up really big, and then the culture and the people, and that fizzles away, and then that's not there. And then how does it self-sustain itself? All right, the next steps, what to do to what's available. 10 Pillars, The Vision from God, held and nurtured by Marcus Merlin Hines, and many others. Oh, I think he wants to stay here for a little while. You know any reason why it's not chicken by?
Just what?
Yeah, just where it'll go backwards. Just won't go past that one.
You do have slides beyond that, right?
Yes, sir. Might just do like a next slide call out and hit a button.
Got you.
In lieu of text. Yeah, so we'll do it. Yeah, okay.
Sure you're going the right way, Merlin, I think. Yeah, try
Yeah, sure,
go the backwards.
Go the other way. Yeah.
You're coming.
Okay, so we want to fire me from technology.
Yeah.
Give me a chisel. All right, just a little bit about my background, just setting the listening. So grew up in small towns. My mom raising 4 children. Motto, alone we're strong, together we're everything. I discovered and learned who my blood dad was at a teenage year, pretty much a rite of passage, 13, 14. And basically his motto was, he'll teach me how to fish. He wouldn't be willing to give me any fish. So he gave me nothing, but gave me everything at the same time. And that being said, transitioned into real estate. I got into fixing up homes, selling homes, and had a career in a business in real estate. Had a 17-person agent team and a 6-person media marketing team. And I was able to build up $1 million company in Northern California and have a lot of construction business experience, team building, and having people that have a God-given talent and helping them be very successful in that. And that's where I started my first training and apprenticing there. 2010, I started my own boutique real estate company after training for 10 years. Then I started my own in 2010. I would do that for 10 years before I would retire, move to Costa Rica, follow my path and heart as a healer, and learn where my role is in this new way of living, which is actually reinventing the old world living in these years. All right. That being said, my first living experience down here, the bottom left, 1994, there was a hurricane in Iki. I would live in communities of like 25 people living off grid. In 1994 was my first experience helping restore the island and fix up the island in Kauai. That being said, then I started a flooring business, got into real estate, and activated a few other business things that allowed me to. Well, what I'll say is before I left the States, I helped my mom retire, which means that she doesn't have to worry about anything and she gets to relax and take care of herself. My sister's taken care of, my brothers have professions, and then now I'm free to follow my heart. And that's what has me here. Self-sustaining eco-village is a passion of mine. Thus, I'm thinking about my children and their children, of how to leave something that my children, like the legacy. It's like taking care of creating a space that I'll be able to give my children either way. I'm clear on that. How to create a village model that can be duplicated across the planet so that all the children can have what my children will have. I never thought of it that way until this moment. And I have no interest in sending my children to a public school and going through the cycle that I went through and that many children in the city are going through. So my biggest passion is to activate leadership, community, working their stuff out, activating leadership for those who are ready, leadership model, activating community and eco-village, and then that eco-village being a model that can be duplicated across the planet. And I feel like if we have a village that's of similar principles every 30 minutes across the planet, well, then you can walk home from anywhere. So there's the game. That's the big game that I'm dedicated to until I take my last breath. And thus I guide a rites of passage called Find Your Why to learn who are the team players that I see to play with that are ready now. Basically creating an old world model that's adapted for the new way of living. And I'm really big on mentor apprenticing. I think that's the biggest difference I had, is that the different mentors that we had growing up, those parents, uncles, or other mentors who made a difference for us. So I'm really big on that. And any village model that we look at had mentor apprentice built in, and it was a sacred exchange and honor for a family to have a guide, a mentor in the village that would train their son or daughter. And so bringing that back is, I believe, the only way that, which is the model of the land here. Somebody comes in, they're there for 3 months, then they go to 6 months. 6 month people mentor the 3 month, 6 months who are ready take on a 1 year agreement. And those 1 year are holding a leadership model to train the ones who have come in newly, like we talked about earlier. Mentor apprentice, giving it away and letting somebody else take the torch. Some values: listening and speaking from love, giving back, mentor apprentice, forgiveness. Students for life are always learning, no matter how much experience we have. Probably the more experience we have, that we've learned that there's so much more to learn. We've been humbled. That being said, 100% responsibility is a key value for the land, and be your word, maintain integrity. The how, we'll break this down. What I see moving forward, the first part's at the foundation of farmers and builders. I've been working on that. Building team and farming team, the basic elements of a village, and food and structures. Then wisdom. And where I'm putting a lot of energy this year is these two. The wisdom village, like I see activating a piece of land with a series of elders that are holding council agreements, almost like what we experienced earlier, having those conversations, living together. It's quieter hours in the earlier time, and activating an elders village, which acts as a guide for communities and villages to learn from. And then the school for children. That with the healers, and then everything is mentor apprentice. Every mentor has an apprentice. Recipe for a thriving community, moving the I to the we. Once it stops being only I or me that's doing it or seeing it, it creates a we. And this is just something that I channeled that came through sacred union, sacred bond between two people who have chosen each other, have chosen in the eyes of Creator. When a sacred union has all their needs met, food, shelter, love, water, community, their root chakra is grounded. They have a full cup. A sacred union with the full cup can fill the cups up of other people in the community. And a community of people that all have full cups can make a world difference. These are the 10 pillars in a little beehive kind of setup. I see the builder's village, mentor apprentice, activating the builders, passing that wisdom down, which is also, it is needed, right? The quality of things that could be built and the craftsmanship is one thing. Also the integrity, showing up, right? You got a family who's getting into a home and needs to be done on time. Everyone has to show up. So downloading all of the skills and the different types of building, being as conscious as we can based on building from the environment we are at, while honoring how much maintenance can someone take on. So finding that balance, which is an interesting game in the tropics. Community center, I think early on a community space, which now I'm learning needs to be a community driven, and can't be a dictatorship, obviously. And it can't be anybody's space where there's too much rules and agreements. And that way, if things aren't happening, then they're complaining about each other, and then the leader can come in and support the alchemy. So a community space that feels like everybody's. So that's what's important. And in this space creates opportunities. I'll share some of the opportunities and abundance generators in everything here. If everything has a mentor apprentice and a ways to earn abundance, then everything is self-generative. So there's a community space, and on the land, people are making treats, making drinks, making food, making medicines, making different things. And people from outside the community come, and it's a high vibe environment. Well, then it could be farm to table restaurant, culinary arts, catering, also being trained for a catering, for retreats, for gatherings, for festivals. So it's a training ground. And this is the farmer's village, a little bit off the top. Intention, learning how to grow food. Opportunities is abundance generators, growing food. A Tico bed and breakfast experience. I've got a few ladies that have been helping me out with so many things, and they're far beyond cooks. Like this woman here is magic, and she helps out with all kinds of things. And so one thing that's missing in this country and in many countries is that bed and breakfast local experience, where you go and you're hanging out with locals and eating what they eat. And so one of the first things I see in the village, especially in this country and in any country, you put an environment where the locals are guiding it. So you can have like this pura vida experience, this bed and breakfast right away. Cabins, food, and just have that be the vibe, because that's what had me feel like home here. That's what had, if anybody was here 10 years ago and beyond, you can go to most commercial towns, and if you wanted the fancy hotel, you can find that. But if you wanted the local spot, local Ticos, it was grandfathered in, one of the best locations. It wasn't the fanciest, but it had the best energy, the best vibes, and the best experience. And so bringing that back. So the different things, tours, date night experience, farmer's market, basically getting really great with food and bringing abundance in with that. Retreat village, this is where the transformational arts. This is one of the things that really has my heart, is transformational experiences. Providing transformational experiences that people leave being different versions of themselves than who came in. That's the part that I'm so excited about, along with designing really cool things to build. Things that make you go, wow. And that brings abundance into the village. It could be shared, percentages shared. People could lease out the space. Like sometimes people come and lease out the land here and have events, and a percentage of that, so the people here that are in participating with abundance coming in, they can earn percentages, they can be a part of the experience, depending on their skill levels, connect in. All being self-generative. Opportunities, entrepreneur village. This is one of the big things. So right now, activating a media team. So in a village, in a community, a media team that can do media arts for other communities, other villages, for real estate. And so a team can be living where they love, operating inside of the ways of living that feel good, and have a abundance generator, earning money, doing media arts, marketing, and media for other places. Thus bringing money in so they can afford to pay their cost. If the cost is lower, then they have more money in reserves to save up money and then buy into the land, buy into a project, rather than just be with the volunteer. So I don't believe in having volunteers. If someone's only interest is volunteering, and I feel like it's not, they don't want something bigger, I don't really have a lot of space for that, but I feel like it's not giving them the gift. So it's to learn something that's in their passion and grow into the next level of a professional offering. So wherever they go, their energy is worth more. The entrepreneur village is so that's that. So bringing the entrepreneurs into a hub to activate businesses and for-profit generators. When you activate one entrepreneur, they have the ability to activate 2 to 20 people and create abundance, because it's their entrepreneur spirit, it's their God-given talent. So I think that's a very powerful pillar to have in a village. The creative arts. So the creative arts will be different. I see this mixed in with the school. So you got this creative arts for all ages and the school. So you got artists coming, painters, musicians, all these different things to tap into, like a fun cultural arts. Like most small towns where I grew up in had cultural arts, where you go and there was ping pong, there was art days, there was all kinds of different things to do based on whoever was offering it. Having that on the land for all ages, you'd invite people to come teach things, and the children would learn from that environment. So it's stacking functions. Healing village. This is more of so I see the retreats and the transformational mind, body, spirit. And then this is where I see a healing clinic, which could bring in a lot of abundance. Maybe some people believe in stem cells. There's a lot of stem cells from healthy people that are going to waste, that those could be collected and then be given to people who are dealing with a lot of things. So high doses of vitamin C. Imagine a healing clinic in a village that was so high vibe that through energy work, through massage, through deep tissue, through nature, through the correct diet and stem cells, and athletes could come who had ridiculous amounts of money and just needed a place to stop and reset. And that money could be enough money to build a school. And so percentages come in. Someone who has the healing craft will take on apprentices, teaching what they know, earning abundance. A percentage goes into the village and people share. So professional offerings with overage of abundance, and then different people earning who are supporting the offering. So giving back to the community, giving back to the greater community outside, bringing in abundance, thus making a village self-generative, rather than somebody owning it and then receiving all the money and everybody's volunteers. Right, so a little bit of a shift there. Colectivos, school, the next generation school. That's a whole other conversation. So usually I would present this, and then we have breakout times with like a couple of hours into the different groups, and different groups would be talking and alchemizing the different things that they're passionate about. So a school for children. Wisdom keepers, that's the elders. That's what I see as a land that's taken care of for the elders. A platform to speak in, spa, sauna, simple places, whatever they need, but closer to elders, so the quiet energy is earlier, the conversations of a certain environment, close enough to the school to walk to the school, be with the children, but not too close to hear them when they want quiet time. But collecting the wisdom keepers to hold a certain frequency. So when things seem out of hand, there's a council there. Yeah. And I think we'll just kind of go through it and then answer questions after. How does that feel? Yeah? Unless something like really pops, then we can go, but we'll just do that and see where we're at. Abundance generators, wisdom keepers. This is where I see the most amount of abundance in the world right now. Like, well, besides the elite, who knows what they're going to do with it? There's a lot of the elders. And what are they going to do with their home? And when they're elder, usually what I hear, they want to be around children. They want to be around good people, good environment, and have their resources and money last, so they're taken care of. So what I see by putting a cluster, let's say a land has, let's say a hectare of land, and you put 10 cabins with a big deck and then the needs, and then walk over to the school. But rather than using money to buy a house and buy all those things, a car, and do all those things, imagine 150, 200,000 to have a cabin home as a life estate. And then using the rest of the money to invest, and a percentage of that pay for a Club Med, yoga, food, trips to the beach, massage day, like a retreat, like a resort, like an all-inclusive resort experience inside of a village. While their give back is to guide the children. Somebody who's passionate about building, they would be with the builders and passing that knowledge down. An elder would be with the healing realm and catch things that are off and support those hearts that are in that purpose, that passion, and bring in the wisdom to the village. The village thus gives back so that a little bit of money goes a lot further. Not all elders have enough money to cover them until they're 90, 95. So if the cost goes down and they're supporting the village, activating the village brings massage, body work, yoga, diet, things like that. Indigenous. I see one big missing that I didn't see early on, and you see it everywhere when communities and villages pop up, but there's no space for the local indigenous to bring back the wisdom, to bring in the rites of passage, to bring in the culture of the land that's been there forever. There's a missing. Ends up being a touristy experience in a land without the learning of how that land served for thousands of years. So having a place in the village where the indigenous can come and teach their ways to the children, to others, and have that experience. Yeah. So having a place for the indigenous. Leadership structure, framework, guidelines, different ways to alchemize that and having agreements. I think I'll keep that short. This tray here, one of the big things that I really love is Rudolf Steiner's Noble Council. And so I think here on the land, in the middle of March, we're going to do a dragon dreaming creation of a village creation rites of passage, and invite a few other villages and everybody from around here and create a lunar cycle eco-village experience. How do we vote for a council? How do we create the school? What's the council for the school? What's the communication? And we bring it all together and document it really well and make episodes of creating an eco-village, and then have that documented and be able to share that for the whole learning experience. And then also document what's working, what's not working. There's a breakdown or a clearing conversation, boom, let's capture it. This is real, this is what it's gonna take. And so a full documented experience. So Noble Council. One of the big things on the council is the leadership. I see a leadership, it can't be one person. We talked about that earlier. It can't be one person. And if it's two, then it's a 50-50 split. So Rudolf Steiner was working on something when he was one of the people who all of a sudden disappeared. A triad. That way there's always opportunity for two to vote and no split. And so I see a triad in the leadership. And then there's 5 other seats in the Noble Council. And those would be energetically what's needed to counterbalance the visionary of the land. So that would be different people holding different powerful roles. A wise elder, someone holding the love frequency of the land, innovation, new creations, and economics, voting on that. And then inside the village, the different parts of the village, bringing in sociocracy and expanding from sociocracy, expanding from the simplistics. So sociocracy, and even in sociocracy, somebody leading the circle and somebody apprenticing. That's a little more deeper into that. That's a little more like an explanation into the triad, into the benefits of having that. Are we like right at sundown and this is, we want to look at sun? How are we doing? How's the energy?
Yeah, fine.
So good? Okay, a lot of information. Yeah? And if this is not serving,
Both look and look.
yeah, do whatever you want. If this is not serving, follow the sun. Follow the sun. Follow your heart. Maintain integrity leadership. We talked about that, like what it really takes. And what we're also seeing is an opportunity for leaders to honor the vision and what they've put in, and that they can't do it alone. So step back and receive and learn to create a council, to create agreements, and then follow them like everyone else, which is an interesting dynamic, which is also people stepping in and like earning that trust and embodying those roles so that somebody can step back, right? Like a mother of children, like if someone's taking care, oh, well, children's happy, they got food. Okay, I don't have to do it. So there's a dynamic in the leadership of expanding the mindset of those coming in and expanding the mindset of those who have been holding it to meet somewhere. That's what I'm seeing taking place. The humility of meeting each other where we're at. Yeah. Education structure, leaders, mentors. I believe that everything should be mentors and apprentice. Anybody with 10 years or more experience, even if you got 2 years experience, you're mentoring someone else and handing it down, which is a beautiful exchange. And we don't need to pay somebody to be an apprentice or an assistant if we're giving them a profession and then helping them get to a place where they can earn. Then we can expand more. And we're giving the gift of guiding another younger person who will now have a profession that didn't have it. And there's a gap. A lot of mentors are still dealing with, am I good enough? I don't know. I'm not, the willingness to give it away. So mentor apprentice is really big for me. I won't pay anybody. And I lose a lot of people who have a lot of mastery skills. They don't want to teach it. They don't want to, no, I don't want to take my time. If they don't want to take their time to teach it to someone who's willing to learn, I won't pay someone to do something. It just doesn't match my principles. And it's interesting, but that's the way I see things working. That being said, where was I going with that? Is I just believe it's our duty. It's our duty to pass it on. If we follow nature, when a tree falls, when a 50-year-old tree falls and it loses its life, the first thing that it does, before it even it knows it's losing its life, as soon as it knows it's going to lose its life, boom, it sends all of its life force, every memory, everything into the mycelium network, and sends its wisdom, boosh, to the forest and the jungle around. As soon as a tree knows that it's going to lose its life, it's instant, boosh. And the communication, the wisdom, and all of its knowledge gets sent out to the forest around. And if we want to follow the mystics, the druids, they're following nature and learn and guide and receive. So following that path. And then villages that thrive had mentor apprentices. When a mentor would pass away or get sick or no longer be interested or leave, go to another village, they had an apprentice. Beautiful. Celebration for their service. 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And then the apprentice steps into a leadership role. All right. Education structure, entry to village. This is interesting. I see rites of passage being really big. Forgiveness work, letting go of the past. This is the part that I do because I'm willing, and it's an offering that I can give back so that people can discover their purpose. if we're having and creating a village based on people who have the most amount of money, you bring 10 people together to just have 100,000 and create a village, but they haven't done forgiveness work and they haven't discovered their purpose. Like, why are they doing this? Why a community? What is their, why are they doing this? Then you're merging a group of people who may or may not be in alignment. And I haven't seen that work. Actually, everyone that hasn't gone through rites of passage, why are you doing it? I love farming. I just want to give this to people. I just want to be in the healing. If everyone's in their purpose and they're the forgiveness work of letting go of the past, then they're able to create new relationships and do the thing they love. And any community that I've seen start that was based on who had enough money without a certain rites of passage of experience, the bubble pops. Just what I've seen. I see 6 to 12 months living together, going through this, learning each other, learning who we are when we don't get our way, learning who we are when things don't go and get what we want. And then the opportunity is to join a village. Inside of that, a mastery of new communication. This brings in the responsibility, being able to respond, taking on the training to be able to respond in a harmonious way. And then practicing that for enough time to say, okay, we're meant to do this, we're ready. And then create village. How to go from matrix to the, yeah. So if it starts with whoever has the most money, that's what it's gonna end with. We build a village with relating to each other from our why. I believe we got to get clear on our purpose, which is a beautiful, pure question. Like if someone ever says something and it like triggers something, it's like, well, before I let this, can I ask why you said that? If we get to the purpose, the intention, and if we have relationships with each other for our intention, our truest intentions, then we know our role in the tribe. So now we're creating something based on our role that we're passionate about. The experience that I offer is to find your why. And there's many options out there. And this is full spectrum inside of that. And yeah, it's the journey from the head to the heart, from forgiveness back to inner child. Why are we doing what we're doing? And what is it that we love to do? If we're creating an experience of what I know your purpose and I know all of our purposes, and I'm clear what you're passionate about, and you're doing if everyone's doing what they're passionate about, no one's working. Founders in the financial model, I see there's many ways to do that. I don't think this is a good time to go into the founders, but one of the best ways is supporting school and an elders village. Elders help activate a village. The village takes care of the elders and the children, and everything grows around that. There's some examples. Going into numbers, reading the room. This is not the time for it. And founders receive. Obviously, founders want to be in a community village experience. They help fund a chunk of the money. Then when other people buy in, they get some of that back. So they're only paying a fair share, but they help activate it. And then once other people buy in, they get a large amount of that back. And what they receive is a lifetime of harmony, and they get to vote of how it's going to go and help maintain that integrity. So they're able to pass on through their legacy to their children and grandchildren a place to live that's different than what they receive. Because if where people were living is home, then there would be no interest. So creating what we see, and then setting the template and the structure and the agreements so that our children and grandchildren playing for the prophecy of 7 generations out. And it takes with going all in with a certain amount of people and being willing to walk our purpose. Calling in founders, this is communities and villages around. Like enough people to go all in to help found it so that there's alternative places to live other than what's available in the cities. Nomadic communities, I got a brother who guides nomadic communities, has a beautiful experience. And that's where people are more transient. I think that's a good starting point. More transient, figuring it out, trying things out, learning, and it's shorter term, getting ready for a longer term experience. Yeah. And I think I have some other slides here, but I think I'll pause there for, I think the big thing that I'm passionate about right now is this multi-generational. Right now, I'm really enjoying getting to know a couple of families who there's, well, you guys met the lady with children today. So I spend time with the elder, their father, and he's an elder mentor for me. I guide them in the areas of business and entrepreneur. That's a multi-generational, and I think that's where my focus is right now. School for the children, elders village to take care of the elders' needs, so they're chilling. They're doing what they need to be doing, guiding the elder, guiding the children, guiding those places, and being taken care of, bringing the wisdom that they've learned. And so all their needs need to be met. So the village takes care of the elders and takes care of the children, and we build a village around that. That's where my heart is right now. And there's other things here. This is what I have on the land. Passion fruits is more what you call like clients. They come, receive, they pay more, they receive. They get to receive. 3-month passion trade. That's the karmic trade, and that's a 3-month agreement. And then those people would grow into a cultivator manager. And then what I'm learning is playing for gaps. I had a cultivator manager that was going to be here 2 weeks ago who had an emergency. So she wasn't able to attend the rites of passage, and she wasn't able to fulfill on her 6 month. What now I learned is to play for gaps. Is if that's going to happen, life's going to get in the way. To have had 2 come, so if one can't join, one can, which is interesting. But that was a big lesson of how much we need the people who have already done 6 months to help support the 3-month people coming in. And the people who have trained for 1 year, which is mentor apprentice. The only way that it works. Yeah, that's the only way that it's going to work. So bringing in more. Keep playing. That's a 6-month cultivator agreement. Someone who's managing the space. They get more one-on-one from the visionary, from myself. They would get more one-on-one, helping them with their goals, their business, their creation, communications. And now they would have the training to train others. Yeah. So I think I'll pause there. There's different opportunities to stay on the land here and go through different experiences. So yeah, I think 6 month. This is what I'm looking for this year. And now I'm clear. I'm getting clear as I refine it. For me, I mastered the matrix. Lining up a business, scaling it out, clear agreements, clear structure, check-ins, numbers, profit, loss. $1 million business, easy. Building a home and a building team, easy. It's this sacred exchange of trade and mentor apprentice that's been pulled out of our culture. It's the opportunity right now. It's for more mentors to step up and be willing to train, and more apprentices to get the mindset of when they get the opportunity, they really take it as a sacred exchange. And now I'm seeing that this needs to be a more feminine role. A certain type of feminine is willing to take training from everyone and then take that leadership, not be a pushover, take the leadership, embody it, hold the line, and do it in a feminine way. That's what I'm calling it. So there'll be 2 of those this year. So if one falls in love and wants to lead, yay! There's still someone there to hold the bag. So 2, playing for gaps. So 2 feminine will be coming to the land, being trained as 6-month leaders for the space. This way, if one has to leave, it's a celebration, and one of the 3-month people step into a 6-month agreement, and it lives on. I didn't play for gaps this last year. I trained a woman who the agreement was she leaves for 3 months. She went and met her king, and everything was lined up, but then something happened. Personal matter. Didn't play for gaps, so having 2, which is the same thing of having a mentor apprentice. So when the mentor gets taken out, as life happens, sick, tired, needs a break, the apprentice pops in. So having two. All right, I'm gonna pause there.
On the website, I have an open source library of agreement documents from projects around the country. Rancho Mastatal was very generous and has, I don't know, many documents, 6, 8, something like that. They have the best example of what you're talking about as far as like training their apprentices to be able to train the volunteers that then train the next one as they come in, they handle a lot of the digital stuff and so forth. Highly recommend if you would like to refine your system based on an existing model that's working, tried and true for 20 years in this country, well documented and described, you got access to it.
Okay. Yeah, and they've been on my radar to go. They hold it consistently as well. They hold a mentor apprentice consistently. Yeah, they're on my radar. That's what's coming to me is I just cleared out my schedule. I'm not leading anything. I'm listening. If people have an offering on the land that feels good, yes. So I'm freed up to go learn and listen for what I haven't learned and listened for.
The same reason, well, I would just say if you're going to think about going there to learn, read the documents first.
Just read it. Yeah.
Read them first. Why go there? They already have it all.
Yeah.
They've done all the hard work to make everything available.
Yeah.
Why skip that to go get a piece of it at their extra labor?
So now I'm here in blockout time, read it, because I've already got a lot of professional offerings here. Read those and then integrate it into, I hear you. Yeah. Okay. Block out and read for that. I like it. Well, so that's that. Any questions?
Question about your model. It wasn't clear. Is it a group finance sharing commune model at that point? Because I see there's a lot of that initial investment coming into the project is funding programs, and there's a lot of people doing work without necessarily getting direct financial compensation, but they're having other needs met. Is this mechanism of all these people doing all these different roles at different levels in a way that finances are just shared, or is it capitalistic in the way that everybody's getting paid for their individual in a similar way as we do now, like people are individually paid, or is it more communal and social in the way that finances are distributed from the income from purchases of land and so forth?
Yeah, so initially I got the question is, how will these different groups that are bringing in abundance share the abundance? What comes in?
Yeah, so you have money coming in,
Yeah.
and you're saying people are going to be taken care of, and you made mentions about it not being, you said something I was curious, like you're providing, instead of providing income, you're providing a profession. And so I'm just curious, if you're not providing income, but you're providing a profession, does that mean that it's communal in so much that their internal living costs are taken care of?
What I can
Or do you
see,
pay directly?
yeah, what I can see offering is those who commit longer term, that are really committed to themselves, would pay a lot lesser amount. So if a room is $400, then give someone the experience of learning a profession and then making the cost $200 for those who show up and give time into the land. So they're investing in themselves by learning. But most people who don't have a whole lot of abundance, if you go to college, you pay.
We're
Right,
talking
like
about
you do.
numbers. I'm not talking about, I'm talking about like people who purchase to be residential members in the community, and there's a portion of their buy-in that goes into this communal fund that's funding this whole mechanism. They're residents, they're not renting.
Okay, got it.
Or are you saying those people will never own a home that everyone perpetually rents, like in someplace like down in the where nobody owns and everyone just rents communal spaces?
Okay, so let's see, your question has multiple layers. So on the buy-in, let's say that there's a Magic Wand Media Arts, earning abundance. what I see is people coming in and spending the time, so they would pay a certain amount, smaller amount, if they don't have it, and they would put the rest of the time, and they would be training and developing to earn a professional skill.
I want to back you up. You repeatedly back up multiple things you say with if they can't afford it. You've seeded in multiple times the assumption that you're going to get people in here who need support rather than I'm talking about the people who are coming in, they got money, they want to be part of the thing, they want to live here, they want to be the building of the mentors. These aren't people that don't have enough. These are people that are taking you seriously, coming in with resources and effort. That's what I'm talking about. So the continuing to go to the people who might need some help isn't where I'm going with this. And I think it would be something for you to like take your focus away from and really go toward the people who are coming in who don't need like that.
No, I got that. But you asked multiple layers. You also asked, does everybody have a home or does nobody own anything? So it's a full spectrum that I was going with if you let me answer.
Okay.
There's going to be people coming in who don't have a whole lot. They got a few grand. And I meet 200 or 300 people a year. So I'm aware of where the financial is. And so there's an opportunity to come and learn a profession to thus earn a home. Then I got people coming in. I've got a few people right now that are selling their property and they're like done with whatever's going on. So we're going to be spending more time this year. We spent some time last year. They're going to be able to invest into the land. And instead of buying the entire thing, invest into a percentage. So they'll invest into a percentage. Now, if a hectare of land with a home and building everything is 350 grand, and all they have is 350, they can now buy in and they can invest in 200,000 and be a 45% partner of one of the projects, for example. So they would buy into a percentage of the experience. Now they could use the other money that they would have to buy in. Save up. Come on. Good. Save up. Thank you. Now using some of that money to invest in to say Magic Wand Media, to invest into a project, they would earn abundance. Thus, others who are earning a profession would help support that abundance generator, and those who bought in would have invested into something that would be restaurant, cafe, media team, real estate team, retreat center.
So the community owns all the houses and all the businesses and everybody is just participants.
No. If you're still earning a profession, you're earning a profession. If you've invested into one of the offerings, you're going to earn a percentage of what comes out.
So these are private enterprises, co-invested private enterprises that are just invested in by selected members who decide they want to invest into that thing. And then some other people don't. And so it gets started once it has enough money.
I don't know. I feel like you're loading something in. Let's use an example to make sure on the same thing. Okay. Activating Magic Wand Media, the media team. It's going to take about $50,000 in upfront costs and about $50,000 to support space for about a year and a half for it to grow. You can either invest in money and be an investor and earn a percentage of what comes in. You can invest time and earn a management role by your time. And then after 6 months, if it's agreed in a collective that you're the manager of a certain role that you've earned based on your time, sacred time. So now you're 5% of the profits that come in. You can either invest in money or apprentice in and earn a skill and earn a percentage on that way. So then once it's activated, project sales, real estate project sales, $30,000 comes into the media team. If you're 10%, and you own your role, you get your percentage. So everybody gets their percentage, then what would be left over would be what's left over for profit based on the different splits, a collectivo. So I see a few collectivos kind of working in that way with agreed percentages based on either you're an investor or you've earned a role.
Right. My questions are all coming, trying to understand the ownership model of all these different layers of assets and interactions. The ownership model. There's a commune model. It's a type of community where people, it's finance sharing. Everyone pools in, we do what we can, and the finances cover it. Rancho Mastatal is an example of this, right?
Uh-huh.
They're not individuals making their individual income from the different things they do in the community. They all do their thing. The finances from the community is equally divided as income among the people, but none of them have their own business, right? This is a commune model. They don't own their own houses. The community, once somebody's, been there long enough and it's determined they get a house, the community determines how that house is going to get financed and built. Dominhor has, I don't think they're all finance sharing, but this is another example where nobody's really owning much. The community as a collective owns the assets and many of the businesses. However, people can entrepreneurially start their own business. But what you're describing sounds like to me that all these businesses are owned, and the property and the homes and everything else is going to build the houses and everything, and people are just investing in to have access. But I'm just asking, am I correct in that, or is it something different?
And I want to get a read. Does this interest everyone, or are we kind of tired and want to move our legs, and then me and Jason can keep? Yeah. Okay. So.
Doing both.
Okay. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the answer is I don't know exactly. There's a few, but I don't know if there's self-generative right now that I could say I'm going to implement that. What I'm hearing in your question, the way I saw it is that the Elders Village would be those who either invested, bought in, and are a part of that. And then there'd be a percentage share, like it's almost like it's its own business structure for that. A percentage of profits goes to the village that supports the village council for roads, care, upgrades, etc. So I see different, right now, and I'm not attached, I see different nodes with its own groups earning the abundance for what takes place, and a percentage goes to the village, and then the council and the village votes what to do with that. There are models where all the businesses are everyone's and everybody shares. So even if someone's not doing anything, they get a percentage based on their percentage of being bought in to their percentage of what they bought in, either with time or money. I also don't see any places where you can come in with no money, but a mastery skill to guide a group and build something where you can earn village credits. That equates to a certain amount of money equal to somebody who comes in with 50 grand. So I'm trying to bridge the two. And I don't know if it's meant to be different businesses paying up to the village where the council guides what to do with the profit of the different nodes, or if all businesses benefits everyone, so everyone's pitching in. I have a gap there, where like someone who's farming for 20 hours a week would earn, I guess, a percentage thing, so everyone feels like they're growing a bigger whole. I don't know.
One thing I've learned with that is it's wise to write in, when you write in value, if somebody who's doing sweat equity towards shares, it's common to want to honor those people with a high professional value so that they can earn their shares in a respectable and quick amount of time. However, in the case of someone having to leave the project by their own volition, or they're being kicked out, voted out or something, there could be an expectation like, hey, I just devoted 3 years of my life and I was supposed to have earned $70,000 by now of credit toward my $100,000 buy-in, and now I want $70,000 because you're telling me you voted me out.
Yeah.
And then, so the way we wrote it in was that you get certain percentage in credit toward your shares in the corporation that co-owns everything, or in the event of a buyout, either because you're voted out or you choose to leave, then that value is actually now more of what we would pay a local. So if we're going to pay you out for work you did, we're not going to honor the trade value at a higher rate. We're actually going to pay you out, but we're not going to pay you more than we would pay maybe a lower rate available employee we could just pay someone locally. So because it's tricky to catch yourself into all of a sudden like, oh shit, we just paid a high paid professional for 3 years instead of trading, and now we're in major debt for somebody we're also maybe in conflict with. So it's that equity share piece can have nuances to it.
You know, I think I have a write-up for each of these, and I think the way we archetyped that was at a certain time then if you don't put in a certain amount of time and there's a breaking of agreement that dismantles, that it won't work if at random times you had to pay chunks of money out in building it. So for the greater good, if there's not a certain amount of time of honoring agreements, then it's like a much lesser amount. So once somebody hits, what I'm hearing you say is once someone's at a professional level, they're guiding the builders and things are being done and they're managing that and they're earning village credits in, that if it's out of harmony and they do things that's out of whack and they get voted out, that if they get voted out for breaking agreements, to build in that if it's not within a certain amount of time of giving back, because the village and somebody would have trained them and got them ready for a certain amount of time. So it's not a certain amount of time where they've been in service, in harmony. It's a decreased amount than what they would have earned by being in harmony and helping fulfill on the village. It's not worth. So that, yeah, there's a caveat.
It sounds like you're working with something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Like I think it was 5 years. 5 years in service and harmony. And if it's less than that, then and if they're being voted out because of drinking on the job, like whatever it was, it's a much smaller fraction to not get in the way of the greater good. But yeah, that's a sitting down and tightening and refining. But that's the way that we saw it earlier on. And there's a community in Chiripo looking at these different things. And so yeah, certain amount of time in harmony, because you can't. I've seen different environments where all of a sudden, like different disagreements or legal stuff, and all of a sudden they gotta pause everything and they gotta pay out these chunks, and it just throws everything off. I see protecting the greater good, and if someone's not in service to fulfill for a certain amount of time, then they to honor the greater good and something like that. Yeah, which is a good way to screen up front. If someone's even wiggly about it being like 5 years in service, in harmony, and agreements up front, it'd be good to know. Wean them out earlier.
You mentioned building houses for people. Is that a standard that the community builds the houses for people to move into, or do people have sovereignty to build their own houses?
When I created this, it was one way. Now I see like an agreement for like look and feel voted in, and if somebody wanted to build their own, like whatever is more economical that meets the agreements of the land.
But the finances would still come from the community like the other houses? They just get to make decisions on the design? Or do they have to invest into the different model themselves? And then who owns the house in that case?
I see a vision where we help keep the cost of the land down, and then the builder's village is actually able to build something amazing, much lesser than any way they could get it done unless they're going to do it themselves. Your question was, so that's kind of the way I see it. And then certain agreements for how to look, the feel, the materials, things like that to be used. The builders, some of them will be earning village credits, so it costs the village and those who are building the home a lot less cash, while helping others that want to be living there earn village credits to then buy their piece of land.
That's not the question I was asking.
Good.
Again, I'm trying to help you understand your equity sharing model. Okay, you cannot receive money from anybody until you have all of these questions really clearly answered. Because we're talking about when someone gives you money, what clarity is there as to rights, responsibilities, etc. Besides a general idea of how support can flow around the system. Because individuals, as altruistic as this model may hope to be, everybody is that comes in, the hard fact is that these are just human beings with X amount of resources that are contributing and come with their whole worldview and understanding of and desire to understand, like, okay, if I invest, you could build me a house. I could live in it. Great. I gave you all the money. You have a model for 75,000. You're going to build a house and you're going to keep the other 75,000 in line. And I'm okay with that because I build trust in your model you're going to invest into. But what if somebody doesn't want that $75,000 house that you have planned to build, and they might want to build a $150,000 house? They put $150,000 into the project. You're planning on taking 75 of that to do what it needs, and then that other 75 was going to build a structure. Now they say, you know, I'm going to put an extra 75 grand in to build a $150,000 structure that I want to live in. The question comes in, like, is that available? Is that money completely surrendered and just an extra donation to the thing in case they ever leave? Do they own part of that house that they can get equity back if they ever move out and somebody else comes in?
Okay. So they put in more how to get it back. Yeah. Right now, the people who I've met that are coming, they love what I've built. So it's like a clear price. Here's this. Here's the agreements on the land. And they want to be a percentage of that. What you're saying is that there's a piece of land. I've got a plan to build something. But they want to build in more. How they get that money back in the future.
That's one of the nuances that come into play in being able to answer the equity sharing model, ownership model.
The big thing that I see to test up front is if somebody wants to upgrade and do something magical. The big thing is whatever it costs. If they put 75,000 in and that's documented, that they get when they sell, they get that back. And we be really careful the percentage of profit that they can earn each year by living there, so they're not attracting investors.
What are they selling? Are they selling shares to the corporation? Are they selling their land? Are they selling their house? What are they selling in that case?
Right now, it'd be shares in a corporation that's navigated by a trust. So everything under a trust umbrella with the agreements, corporation, and small enough percentages of ownership such that they can't force any sale. So nobody can. The trust is ultimately in charge, with the council actually being the trust. In an expansive model, there's other things to look at that there's turning it into right now I'm more interested in people who trust the trust model and have a small enough percentage share such that donations can be received and money can come in a fluid way. And they just trust that model. We get to know each other and it's clear agreements. We keep it for 10 years. Okay, whatever you put in is documented, and it's a 2% profit increase per year, so it's not a crazy amount. That once everything's built out and magical, they can take a big chunk out. Also, whoever's buying it would also be living for the 6 or 12 months, and the council would vote them in before it can be sold to them. So nobody can just sell to anybody in the middle of a harmonious village. So setting up that structure so that your neighbor can't sell to someone who wants to activate drum circles like that. So finding that balance of putting in agreements that keeps things in harmony. Yeah. That's all I have right now. And things are changing. Things are changing now. So it's also looking at, doing it in right now what's coming through is stay small, below the radar, and work with people who trust, live for longer term, and if they want to sell out, there's a small exchange upgrade, and there's a buyout, and clear agreements for the same way they came in for new people to come in. Small and strong.
And do you have a strategy for defining those agreements to the degree needed before receiving the investment that you imagine is coming right now from these people?
A strategy for managing and getting those agreements. I have a template of a good structure based on other people who have done it. And then what there is sit down with those people as we get to know each other and refine it. Right now, I'm in the get to know you period with a few people who spent some time. They're moving resources, and coming over, and then we'll live together. We'll go over that together, and then like really understand it and feel good about the basic template. But then it needs to be refined. It needs to be refined and massaged. So there is no question. And a clear understanding that the goal is that nothing can happen such that one person can sell for a lot of profit and put somebody in who's not in harmony with the agreement. A check and balance. That comes most important. Yeah. Good question. Agreements. Make agreements up front so we can stay friends forever. Yeah. And that's where a lot of people are at right now that I know that are in places. It's like there's a template, but then there's the refinement.
Well, when you get your people together, my friend, and you want somebody who can really make sure you get a document that they'll all be happy to sign, and you want some guidance going through that conversation with them to define something.
The detailed structure guy.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
Because I have this open source library, not just to show, like I understand these agreements deeply.
Yeah.
And you know, that's what I'm doing right now, is really helping people, like Amora is one of my clients right now, helping them establish their shareholder member agreements, because then, you know, you got your decision-making model seems to be relatively mapped out in your, you know, your hierarchy of stuff and sociocratic system, and that can happen at scale in different ways. And you seem to have a vision for conflict navigation, and but really your equity sharing for assets and businesses. And I know we skipped through some stuff, but I was reading as you were flipping through, and it seems like that is a really dangerous area to keep gray for too long. And I mean, I'm the guy who's been watching projects rise up and fall for 16 years here, and now have my third year passing through the ones I've left standing, you know, and so like I really, I feel like I get it more than the average bear, and I see what you're doing, and I want you to understand the ownership model and equity sharing to a degree that you can explain it to a millionaire in a in a sit-down conversation when they're asking my money, how does this work? If I give you my money, who owns this business? Who's managing the business? Who's accountable for the business? What happens when the business fails? Is the business going to start if it doesn't have enough funding yet? If I fund half of it, how long is that going to sit there before enough funding comes in or enough sweat equity comes in to actually turn it into something that's generative? You know, there's a lot of pieces here that could use some not only dialogue but strategic guidance and reporting of specific answers to guide the conversation toward the final decisions that need to be in writing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Crossing the I's, crossing the T's, dotting the I's. Yeah.
Or the other way, as it was.
My superpower is the vision and the how-to, and anything that I see that I said I would do, I fulfill them. The how-to, I surround myself with very detailed, structured people, and that are in the heart space resident of supporting it, and it fulfills. And I get, you're right. There's.
You need somebody that sees the gaps.
Yeah.
Because most people who come through here won't.
No. Yeah. Do you ever get involved in projects where you feel it and then you become a percentage of it and help activate and see it fulfill?
Not at this time. No.
That would be me doing. And so what I'm looking for is those with your skill that see where this can go, like the different pieces. And then now they're plugged in. And now that's not me doing, that's me being a part of, and then bringing in assembly members, bringing in council. They want to see it birth because it's theirs as much as it is mine.
No, I don't want to be, I want to be entirely neutral with the projects I'm working with.
Yeah.
I want them to find the funding they need to have me come in like a professional, unattached to the outcome,
Yeah.
to make sure that their vision is what gets happened. And then I keep poking them until the vision's clear, without me creating it for them. If I was involved in a project, I'd start wanting to make decisions. That's not what I do.
Poke around to find the detail, find the gap.
And
You're
help
a
you make
professional
those
poker.
decisions and keep you facing the hard questions until you can, that you
Yeah.
it has to be addressed.
Okay. Yeah, let's set up a sit down and see where we can support each other and like flesh it out on like some things. I like that. And then that'll help me better feel for what you do when I meet others. I can know when to plug you in. Let's block out for that and be intentional. Yeah, man. Cool. That was good.
Yes.
Thank you.
Darcy's